Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories.
In the first story, while OP was hanging out with a group of moms at a water park, an acquaintance of hers tells her that she met OP's husband at a park with their youngest son, together with a woman the husband introduced as his sister. Well, both OP and her husband don't have sisters. Let's read the story to see what happens next. Original post: I've been married to my husband for a long time. We have kids, a house, and pets together. We have an active, intimate life. We go on dates often and share a lot of the same hobbies. Today he's at a pool party with our oldest son. I took our youngest to the water park in town, where I ran into one of the other moms I know. We started talking and she mentioned at one point that it had been so nice to meet my husband's younger sister last week and asked if she was my sister or his. I replied that neither one of us has a sister and asked her what the woman looked like. She said she was young and petite with dark hair. I only have a much younger brother with red hair, and he has a brother who is over 6 feet, so neither one of us have a sibling who could be confused for a sister. He doesn't have any cousins, and I do, but he's not close with any of them. I'm freaking out because obviously the first thing my mind goes to is he is cheating. I remember him going to the park last week, and he never made any mention of meeting up with anyone or hanging out with anyone there, and my youngest son isn't old enough to tell me. I can't get through to him because his phone isn't on him since they're in the pool, so now I'm just here freaking out because my mind is going wild. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Ask him when he comes home. But it is a bit weird, if he is cheating, bringing that woman around the kids even with other moms, and introduce her as sister. Not much fun and too obvious. Yes, that part seems really off to me as well. Super odd, but at the same time, I work with a lady who routinely will make up stuff just like this, to try and snoop or see people's reactions. I can confirm that there are sick individuals who like stirring up the situation just for kicks. Someone I was friendly with at work made up a sob story about her husband mistreating her and needing help just to see what reaction she could get. This woman was trying to help you out while being low-key. She saw something was up 100%. She made sure to mention something to you so you could investigate. I'm guessing you're more acquaintances than friends. So, she probably didn't feel comfortable coming right out and saying it, so she told you in a roundabout way. This covers her bases. She isn't intruding while letting you know what she saw, but leaving room in case you guys are swingers or something. After you figure out what's going on, you should bring her a bottle of wine. I think you are completely correct here. The acquaintance told OP what she saw and gave her the bare bones facts. I was at the park, said hello to your husband, your son, and a petite dark-haired woman your husband introduced as his little sister. But it seems like when OP said there was no little sister, the acquaintance wasn't shocked or embarrassed. She'd already suspected the story was false. She could have sensed this from a split second, oh shoot, facial expression on the husband, or how the little sister didn't respond in a natural way, or sudden awkward body language from either of them or even from the little boy. I agree, this was a polite way of saying, FYI, I saw XYZ and thought there was something off, but don't really know. Just say it how it is. I got asked whose sister was whose when you went to the park with our son, can you explain? Yeah, this is what I'm going to say once he comes home. And now for the update. When he got home from the pool party with our son, I simply said, Trish said she ran into you at the park. She said you were with someone you introduced as your sister. Who was it? I knew something was up because he was just silent, and he didn't say anything. Then he just said, okay, we need to talk. Do you want to do this now, or later? Obviously, I said now, so he told the boys to go play downstairs. He admitted he had been planning on leaving me for a while, but he had wanted to wait for the right time to do it. He said he had met someone else he had feelings for. He had met her last year and things happened slowly. He said he never cheated on me physically, but there were a lot of times he told me he was doing work when he was really texting her or going into his office to FaceTime her, and they would sometimes meet up. I asked him why he felt okay bringing our son around this person, and he said it was because our son already knew her, which is when I found out that his little sister, and person he's leaving me for, is our son's daycare teacher. My husband is the one who drops off every morning, so I guess that's how they met. I should have guessed something was up when he began volunteering to go pick him up as well. He seemed apologetic and kept repeating that he never did anything physical, and that he wanted to remain civil for the kids. I still haven't fully processed any of this. He's living in the basement apartment until we get things figured out. I never understand in these situations how someone in a committed relationship can just, hey, I met another person and we got along so, bye. I know, right, and usually way before their honeymoon stage of meeting them is even over. Everyone poops rainbows and butterflies in the beginning. Yep, this is how my marriage imploded. She offered sunshine and rainbows, and everything that he felt was lacking with me, until she didn't. Then according to him she was a psycho crazy witch, and he should have given our marriage a chance. I'm like, should have thought about giving it a chance before ever cheating in the first place. They always swear it wasn't physical, but I doubt it. I have a hard time believing someone would leave a marriage for someone they don't even know is compatible in the bedroom. As a teacher, there's ethical boundaries we are not allowed to cross. Having an affair with our students' parents is one. Report her. Now, she should not be in a position of power over your child. This, especially since she was working when this happened. Report her and make sure there's actual consequences. This is totally inappropriate. Exactly, OP, please report. As an ex-ECE teacher, I can tell you it is unethical to sleep or foster a personal relationship with any of the children's parents. This allows for the ECE teacher to play favorites as long as the relationship goes well. But the moment something bad happens, that child's life at the daycare is over. If you're in a small town, possibly forever. All ECE or school staff gossip. As much as we deny it, we gossip about your kid, their behavior, their home life, etc. Anything we know of, we gossip. So, if your child is labeled a troublemaker, your child is branded for life. It's even harder for boys to break that label. If he wanted to remain civil for the kids, starting an emotional affair surely was not the way to go. Well, I promise at least we never consummated it. As if he's not already put a bomb between you two. OP, definitely take all the time you need to process this and revisit the situation to talk when you're calm. It's really silly of him to try to say he wanted to be civil, while he was actively cheating on you, going on dates and talking to her. It's really weird for him to still say he wants to be civil. But of course he had to go on dates while married. He had to be sure before he jumped ship. Next story is titled, My 46 female husband, 47 male is demanding a post-nup. My husband and I have been together for 15 years and married for 8 years. We have a 6-year-old daughter together. Before getting married, my husband was first a nurse, but he was very unhappy in that field. He ended up quitting his job and doing 2 years of working a lot of short-lived odd jobs before deciding to go to vet school. This was done against all advice from others because of the expense involved. His parents refused to pay, so I ended up co-signing the loan and working to support us both. He got out of school 9 years ago. We married when he was struggling to find a position at a place that paid the average rate for a vet. We then moved so he could get a position he was happy with. Since then, he has first earned a high salary, and then was liked enough by patrons that he ended up opening a clinic of his own. Now he has 2 locations with employees that all work under him. He also has parlayed his previous experience in nursing and business to consult on the side for businesses such as nursing homes, hospice, and substance use treatment facilities. We had a bump in the 3rd year of marriage because he didn't want me to work anymore. He made me feel like my salary no longer meant anything. I ended up quitting because of my mom guilt. I am currently looking at online college options, since I only have an associate degree. Recently he's been very distant. I just have that intuitive pit in my stomach when he would travel for a consulting project and not answer my text or call me when promised, or him sounding like he was whispering when he did call me. There's an intern he hired 2 years in a row, whose mother was bold enough to come up to me at a party and say that my husband really adores her daughter, and she has hearts in her eyes with him. I keep thinking, no way, because she is 25 years his junior and has a boyfriend. But she treats me with open disrespect, and my husband doesn't care that I'm hurt by it. He's always on his phone ignoring me when I speak. The intern was out of the picture for a while, but now I saw her name pop up on his phone several times. At an event, my husband pushed past our daughter to speak to her. I don't think I'm a jealous person normally. I don't begrudge my husband finding other women attractive, even if he doesn't hide it from me. But I want warmth from my husband, and I don't want him to act on these feelings of attraction to other women. We had a fight about me refusing to get a tummy tuck, and then he caught me looking at credit card statements and flipped out, leaving the house. He came back calmer and said that he's sorry if he's intense. Most people in his field are. He also said that a lot of the business world he's a part of is something I'll never understand. He said he has employees to think about and asked me to sign a post-nup. He said that it shouldn't be a big deal if I wasn't with him for the money. I was shocked and asked him how long he's had this on his mind. He said that it's been for a while, but he got pretty angry when our daughter recently blurted out that she will help animals like Dad. He says that he believes I'm teaching our daughter to be entitled and thinking that she'll inherit any of his business, or that I was passing on this attitude by trying to subtly meddle in his business. I asked what the terms of the post-nup were, and he showed me a draft. It says that I will get $10,000 a year for every year we are married, to be paid out in yearly installments for the length of our marriage. I could also keep any gifts he bought me during the marriage. I would refinance to buy him out of our heavily mortgaged property, which I won't be able to afford to keep as a result. In addition, the $10,000 a year would be lowered if he ended up having other dependents, with a certain amount for each dependent he ended up gaining. And I would forfeit any claim to his vet clinics or other side income. I was in shock. I asked rather dryly if he couldn't put in a compensation for the amount of debt that I took on, and paid a huge part in paying off for him to get his education. I also asked if there could be a mutual infidelity or abandonment clause. He flipped out and said that infidelity clauses annoy judges, because then everybody will be hiding in the bushes to spy on their partners. He said that if I just loved him for him, then I'd sign it and understand why I needed to. But if I didn't, then I'm not the same woman he married. What do I do? He always seems to have legal counsel around him advising him how to come out on top. And this document essentially gives me less a year than his business can earn in a week. Now for the top advice. Do not sign. Something tells me intern is pregnant. This, or if not, she will be soon enough. This is a transparent attempt at an exit strategy. OP needs to stall him, pretend to be considering it, and say she is probably going to sign it. And instead, quietly lawyer up and get all her ducks in a row to exit this marriage herself now, based on the current situation, not his slimy attempt at a post-nup. You get yourself a lawyer. You have been together long enough and shared finances out him through school and created his business. No lawyer is going to let you agree to this. Good luck. This, just to be clear, by get yourself a lawyer, we mean a good divorce lawyer. We don't mean she should even consider this post-nup. He's obviously trying to create a firewall for when he dumps OP. There are some elements in the story that could point to narcissistic behavior. OP is potentially unaware of that. Him being a nurse, not liking that, changing jobs a lot of times. Everything is not good enough until finally he has his own clinic. Him using others, his then girlfriend's money, to get ahead. Him feeling entitled to more than what usual people would find just. Him weaseling arguments with absurd claims. There could be quite some stuff that OP isn't telling because she hasn't even realized. I hope OP manages to divorce without being screwed over too much, and manages to keep the warmth in her life that she seeks. OP probably should do everything she can to document the financial situation before he manages to keep it from her, if he not even has done that. Make sure she has copies of all the documents, tax reports, bank statements and such, and her personal documents like passport, birth certificate, and so on. All this can get nasty very quickly when he realizes she will not just go and leave him with everything. I'm sorry you have to endure that, OP. You own half of his business, you put him through vet school and held down the house while he built his business. That's why he wants you to sign away you and your child's rights. He treats you and your child with contempt, and he's showing all the signs of infidelity. The probable affair partner treats you badly, and her own mother has confronted you. Sign nothing, take all of your info to a good divorce attorney. Now for the last story. My 29 female partner, 31 male, won't marry me after 10 years. My partner and I have been dating for 10 years. We started off as friends, then best friends, then finally dating. We've said I love yous for almost as long as we've been dating. We've been talking about marriage for about 8 or so years, and we've been living together for about 5 or so. But he still hasn't proposed. It's not like I'm quietly waiting. We've talked about it a lot. He has made it clear on several occasions that he wants to be the one to propose. He also said he has anxiety and social anxiety, and that's contributing to it. But I also have anxiety, and honestly, this is making it worse. I've made it clear that I'm not very traditional, and we could go to a ring store together and then immediately drive over to the courthouse. I don't care about the wedding or a crazy proposal. I just want to marry him. He says he wants to marry me too, but now I'm afraid something is going on. I trust him to not lie or cheat on me or anything. I don't think it's something that overt. Maybe even though he loves me and is faithful, he just doesn't want to marry me. He just may not realize it. I once gave him a year to propose or I was going to propose, and he said again that he wanted to be the one to propose. So, a year went by and no proposal. I didn't propose, however, because crap hit the fan within that year, so I wanted to give some wiggle room. But still nothing. I love him more than I can really say, but the agony of feeling unwanted and then being questioned with, "Don't you trust me?" After 8 years of what feels like a huge broken promise, it sucks. I've talked to close friends about it, and was told that between 6 to 8 months into the relationship is all it should take for him to know where we're headed. They also told me stories of theirs, or people they know, who were with someone for 10 or even 15 years, and then broke up because he wouldn't propose, just for him to marry someone new 6 months later. I just want to know what to do. I love him and trust him, so I don't think he's purposely leading me on, but I just want some advice on what to do. I understand that there is a possibility that I'm being insensitive or overdramatic, but I'm not a robot, so my feelings aren't going to change overnight. If he hasn't married you in 10 years, chances are he never will, and this is backed up by the 1-year situation. You shouldn't have to set an ultimatum for a man to get you a ring. He just doesn't want to. Yep, and an ultimatum will backfire on her, because if he does follow through with it, it will build resentment with him and affect their relationship moving forward. Not to mention OP will still probably resent him a bit for making her have to pull an ultimatum to propose. I think that he doesn't want OP to propose because he knows she will do it and he has commitment issues. OP, don't give in to the sunk cost fallacy. End this without wasting any more time on him. I once gave him a year to propose or I was going to propose, and he said again that he wanted to be the one to propose. So, a year went by and no proposal. 1. If you give someone an ultimatum and don't follow through, what you're demonstrating is that they can get away with the behavior you're identifying as unacceptable. An ultimatum should only happen if you're willing to stick to it. 2. It's not a good idea to propose to someone you aren't 100% confident will say yes. If you're having doubts about whether or not he even wants to marry you, I wouldn't propose. You have 2 options as I see it. Get into couples counseling so you can discuss this issue openly, or set a timeline and stick to it. Are you willing to walk away over this? You need to figure that out before issuing a timeline. Because if you are, he needs to understand that those are the stakes. If you aren't, then I think you need to make peace with the fact that a new timeline will likely not change anything, since he knows you won't deliver real consequences if he misses it. People asking why you want to be married are missing the point. The point is that he knows this is important to you, has been making promises for years, and is refusing to follow through on those promises. That's a trust issue, and it's irrelevant whether anyone else thinks wanting to be married is valid.
Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Update. My ex-wife came out as lesbian and left me and my daughters 3 years ago, and now she's back. Original post. So how do I start this? Well, 3 years ago my wife came out as lesbian. We've been together for many years. In fact, our oldest daughter was 14 at the time and my youngest was 10. Our life was good. Both me and my wife worked so we had stable finances, and I thought we were happy. That was until one evening my wife sat us down and explained that she was in love with a female colleague from her workplace and that she wants to be with her. She said she was sorry, but she had to find out who she was and that would only be possible if she'd let her old life behind herself, blah blah blah. The typical breakup nonsense. On that day, she left us and cut contact. For me and my daughters, the world fell apart. I knew that I now had to take care of my daughters all by myself. I was in a state of depression for a long time, but I kept fighting for my daughters, while every attempt to contact my ex-wife failed. Luckily, I found a much better paying job that made it possible for me to give them the world. My daughters had good grades in school, and I knew that our life would soon be better again. But once in a while when I took my youngest daughter to bed, she asked if I would leave them like Mom. I hugged her and gave her a kiss on the forehead and promised her that I would never leave them and that I loved them more than anything in the world. I was so angry at my ex-wife because she was the one that gave her those feelings. I wonder if she ever realized what she had done to our daughters. Fast forward to a few weeks ago. My daughters and I sat in the living room, and I told them that because Christmas month was already next month, they should write down what they want for Christmas. My oldest daughter is now 17 and my youngest is now 13. While they were busy writing, the doorbell rang and I wondered who it was. When I opened the door, I froze in shock. It was my ex-wife with a big smile on her face. She said she was happy to see me and tried to hug me, but I refused to hug her. My oldest daughter then came up behind me and asked me who it was, and when she saw her mother, her facial expression immediately changed. I've never seen her so angry. My ex-wife tried to apologize and she wanted to hug her, but my daughter pushed her away and shouted at her to leave, and that she never ever wants to see her again. Then my youngest daughter also joined us. She just got angry too, turned around and went to her bedroom. Then my oldest followed her to comfort her. From the look on her face, I figured she was ashamed, as she should be. I asked what she wanted. She said that the last 3 years weren't good years for her. She constantly thought of her daughters and wanted to see them again, but for some reason she never came by because she was expecting this exact response from them. But she guessed that she deserved this. She asked if I could talk to them. I told her that I could tell them she was sorry and let them decide, but I will not push them into doing anything they don't want to. She was okay with that and left. She also left me her new number to contact her. I then got into my daughter's room. She cried in the arms of her older sister. I told them what their mother has told me. I told them that if they'd want to meet her, they could do that. It would be okay for me. My oldest daughter said that she cannot forgive her for doing what she did, and that I was everything they need. It felt good to hear this, really good. I always thought that being a single parent would mean that I might never be enough for my children, so hearing this made me so happy. My youngest daughter then said that she always thought she missed her mother, but now that she had seen her again, she never wants to see her again. I texted my ex-wife about that. She read it but she didn't respond. But she didn't give up that easily. She showed to our house once more while my daughters played ping pong outside. I was in the living room watching TV when I suddenly heard loud shouting outside of the house. I immediately got there and I saw my oldest daughter arguing with my ex-wife. My oldest daughter shouted at her that she had no idea what she did to me. She told her about how depressed I was and everything I went through. This was kind of surprising because I wanted my daughters to feel secure with me, so I've never told them of my depression and the suffering I went through. Then she continued how she felt over the years, knowing that her mother left her and that she'll never forgive her. My 13-year-old was crying while this happened, so I hugged and comforted her, but I also don't want to interfere, because if my oldest daughter wanted to tell her mother anything, I'm not gonna stop her just to protect my ex-wife's feelings. Overall, she never cared about our feelings either. After she was done, she came hugging me as well. And I told my ex-wife she should leave us alone for good. If she ever showed up here again, we'll get a restraining order. She left in tears. Well, that was 3 days ago, and she hasn't showed up again so far. I just hope she leaves us alone. My daughters made it very clear they don't want to have anything to do with her. I wanted to give them the opportunity to meet their mother again, because if there is any chance that my children have a mother again, I don't want to stand in their way. But I'm glad they didn't give her the chance. I don't know if it makes me a bad person to think this, but I also don't think that my ex-wife deserves to be with her daughters again, so I hope the last encounter delivered the message. Thank you for reading. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Damn dude, she told her about how depressed I was and everything I went through. This was kind of surprising, because I wanted my daughters to feel secure with me, so I've never told them of my depression and the suffering I went through. You can see in that they care about you and you care about them. I wish you and your queens nothing but the best in life. The thing is, humans wear emotions on their sleeves. It's difficult to hide what you're feeling. You might try to, but your body language, tone of voice, and even the eyes give it away. It's interesting to learn about how it all works. This I have found to be accurate more often than not. If you grew up with abuse, you are good at putting up walls and wearing masks. But everyone has a tell. Many have multiple. I don't understand why the realization of being a lesbian means she needs to leave her children. How selfish. I really don't understand the connections her brain made to get this answer. I mean, I can only speculate, but this didn't seem like a harmful relationship. She surely could have told the guy her feelings, that she wanted to separate, and some sort of space to freely dip her toes into the lesbian pool. And still keep contact with the kids. So many possibilities that didn't involve ghosting the whole family for 3 years and still being her new self. People get real upset when they have to lay in the beds they make. Being a parent isn't like watching a Netflix show. You can't just pause it and come back like nothing happened. Edit. Thank you for all your support. I read all of your comments, and I'm so thankful for all your positivity. For everyone who wonders, yes, my daughters went to therapy, and so did I, but I'm afraid the progress we've made could be destroyed by her sudden appearance. I never expected this to explode the way it did, but thank you so much for all your support. I appreciate it. But I still want to clarify something, because I read it a few times while going through the comments. I never had a problem with her being gay. Her sexuality isn't something she can control. I had a problem because she could have explored it and still be a loving and caring mother. I do not think that she's gonna try anything, but if she does, I'm gonna keep you updated. By the way, since this post already blew up so insanely, I figured I could show it my daughters as well as they probably would have found it anyways, and they are also thankful for your comments and the support. We appreciate you guys. You are an amazing community. And now for the update. I actually thought about not using this account anymore, but I promised you an update, so here I am. She showed up again, but luckily not at home. I think about what's the best way to describe what happened today. Let's just say it could also be a part of one of those bad-written stereotypical drama series. My younger daughter came home today with a mad look on her face, and when I asked what was wrong, she started to explain. It all started when my younger daughter got out of school today. Usually she just walks home, but this time, my ex-wife waited for her at the exit. She tried to ghost her, but she was stubborn and refused to let her go just like that. She offered her a ride home. My daughter refused, but she insisted. She prepared herself for running away, but before she could, my ex-wife made her an offer. She would give her a ride home and would try to explain everything to her, and if she still don't want to see her again, she'll never show up again. My daughter figured that this could be the best opportunity to get rid of her, so she accepted. Now here comes the interesting part. She wouldn't drive her home exactly, she just drove around the town for a while telling her story. According to my daughter, she broke up with her girlfriend after 1 year of her relationship with the coworker because they had too much different interests. She said that while she tried to live her life, she constantly had her daughters in her mind. She said she went no contact because she deleted the numbers, and she hoped that this would help her start a new life with her girlfriend. She spent the last 2 years in a depression because she figured she couldn't live without her babies around, and that she deeply regrets leaving them, and that her life was a total mess. She could understand if my daughters hated her, but she would try to make everything right if they just gave her the chance. And then my daughter basically How I Met Your Mothered her and asked her what would have happened if her relationship and her life were successful, and if her and her older sister are just the consolation prize. Quick intervention from me at this point. I was so proud at my daughter at that moment. She is 13 and yet she is so mature and intelligent. I love her. My daughter told me that this question made ex-wife really mad, and apparently, she accused me of poisoning them against her. Funny because I never talked bad about her to my daughters. Of course I was angry for a long time, so I said a few bad things about her to my co-workers, but never to my daughters. She is still the mother of my children after all. My daughter said that when she got out of the car, she affirmed her will of never seeing her again, and my ex-wife just nodded and then she drove away. My daughter asked me if we could do anything so she stays away, because she doesn't expect her to keep her promise. I called for my older daughter, and my younger daughter explained her what happened as well. Then I asked them if I should get the restraining order, and I explained them what that would mean and what would happen then, and they said yes. So yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. I know that a few people might think it's harsh, but it's not like I didn't warn her. If anything happens again, I keep you updated. She deleted her own kids' numbers. Well, Mother of the Year. She hoped that this would help her start a new life with her girlfriend. Not just deleted their numbers, but actually told her daughter this was the reason. This lady is just plain awful. For context, she had her kids in 2005 and 2009. It's not like this is a woman who started her family in 1955 and is afraid that the stigma of her alternative lifestyle will ruin her children's lives if people find out. Nothing like that, she dipped. She didn't just follow her dreams, she scorched the earth behind her. When I read the 13-year-old got into the ex's car and didn't immediately drive her home, I thought this would have taken a darker turn. If they let this continue, it eventually will. Yep, all that BS manipulation about, I can't live without my babies, was laughable. You need someone to want you like your co-worker did. I don't understand why the mother had to ditch the kids to pursue her new life as a lesbian. It's one thing for the marriage to end, that's understandable, but you don't stop being a parent because of that. And then there is the how. How the heck do you just leave like that? How can you be happy leaving 2 kids behind just because you're in love with someone? She didn't have to, but she wanted to. Most troubled parents waffle about splitting up due to concerns about the kids, but she couldn't wait to duck out of their lives. A friend had his wife ditch him and their younger teenage kids when she had a midlife crisis and ran off with a younger man. They got divorced. No contact until the guy finally left her, and she tried to come crying back. He left it up to the kids if they wanted to talk to her, and they said no way. Her parents were also on his side and stayed involved in their grandkids' lives. Several years later, he got remarried and his ex-parents-in-law were among the guests. I was honestly expecting to read about how OP had met an amazing woman in the intervening years, who was his true soulmate, and was supporting him and his kids wonderfully during all this drama caused by his ex-wife, whose life fell apart after leaving such a great guy. Also, and then my daughter basically How I Met Your Mothered her, and asked her what would have happened if her relationship and her life were successful, and if her and her older sister are just the consolation prize. For those wondering, in the last season of How I Met Your Mother, 2 of the main characters who are a couple are having an argument. One of them brings up the fact that the other person had abandoned them for months to try to chase their dream of being an artist. This character then asks if they are the consolation prize, and wonders if the other person would ever have come back if they had achieved their dream. Now for the last story. I, male 28, am struggling to support my brother, male 31, after his fiancée, female 28, cheated on him with one of my friends at a party that I was throwing. Like the title describes, myself and my partner, female 27, had a party for her birthday last weekend at our house, and my brother and his fiancée came. My brother had to do something the next day, so he didn't really drink and left early, but his fiancée stayed. We don't allow people upstairs at parties, but one of our friends went up to use the bathroom and walked in on my brother's fiancée and one of my other friends. The friend that caught them said that when he walked in, they were hugging, and when they separated, he saw that his jeans were undone. Their story is that my brother's fiancée had never done coke before, and my friend had some, so they went up to take it. They both got really high and admitted that they kissed, and his jeans got undone because it was going to go further, but she stopped before it did. They have both said that nothing else happened. My brother is obviously very hurt by it all, but seems to be leaning towards believing her and wanting to move past it. I'm struggling to support him because I think they're lying about what fully happened. I spoke to the friend who walked in again, and he agrees and thinks something else happened. For starters, he said that he thinks my brother's fiance's dress looked weird, as in it wasn't on properly or adjusted properly or something, and he said the whole thing just had that feeling of something has just happened, if you get what I mean. He said he would be very surprised if kissing was the extent of it, but also doesn't really want to be involved, because he can't be 100% certain as he didn't stick around when he opened the door. Basically, the advice I'm looking for is, should I just drop it and support my brother if he wants to continue the relationship? Obviously, the guy is no longer a friend no matter what, but I'm considering talking to him and seeing if he will tell me if anything else happened. He's on the ban list with all our friends now anyway, so I could tell him that if he wants any chance of friendship with any of us, he has to tell me the truth. Should I get involved? I want my brother to be happy, but if she's lying, I think my brother should know. The other thing is, she was drunk and had taken coke for the first time, but I don't think that changes my opinion on her cheating. Advice on that would also be appreciated. I feel like your brother is believing his fiancée because he wants to believe his fiancée. She was at his sibling's house, took a substance, went to a vaguely restricted area, and got caught in a compromising situation. I don't think any substance causes someone to cheat, even if it's their first time. Additionally, this wasn't some random stranger. She chose to be inappropriate with someone inside their social network. All of that is to say, I get wanting to protect your brother, but when someone just blatantly wants to ignore the clearly bad facts and ignore all of the other things that are probable, but not admitted, they have probably made their choice. You don't have to like or be friendly with his fiancé. Just be wary of laying out all the facts and becoming the scapegoat here. It's like after a breakup when you bash your friend's ex, and then a week later they're back together, and you're feeling awkward about every unkind but probably true thing you said. I'd follow your brother's lead. If he wants you to pry, do it. If he doesn't and wants to forgive her, well, that's on him, and I doubt any amount of facts you present will change his mind. Yeah, I think you're right. I'm even in complete shock that she would do something like this. She's always been such a nice person. Thanks for the advice. If I was you, I'd still try and stop us from marrying her. It's obvious more crap happened than they would admit. She definitely cheated. I feel like your brother's emotions are all over the place, and he's too hurt just to break it off right at this moment. Keep talking to him, and at least try to make him open his eyes and see that she cheated. Believe me, this won't be the last time she'll cheat. Thanks. Yeah, you're definitely right about his emotions. I don't even want to necessarily break them up, but I think he should have all the facts so he can make a decision. If he still wants to be with her even if he finds out more happened, then I might not like it, but I'll support him, and at least he'll know.